What's up, freaks? This is just me, and today we're gonna be exploring the best physique of Lee Priest's entire bodybuilding career. The Blonde Myth, as he is also known, started competing in the IFBB Pro League in 1993. He was super young back then, by the way, a 20-year-old. That's very hard to believe. I mean, think about it, how old are you, and is your physique remotely close to what he looked like in those years? He looked unreal. There's no chance of that happening. He was very good. But anyway, he competed till 2013, at least if you are willing to consider his 2013 comeback after 5 years of break since 2006. So, first, I want to mention some physiques that look amazing, but they didn't make it to the final comparison. So these are the honorable mentions. I have prepared on the left 1997 Ironman Pro. Surely a top 5 Lee Priest version in my opinion. He was very well conditioned and so well built overall, you can see in this front lat spread. He brought a very impressive package, and this version is a great representation of what he usually looked like. Mass with class. And as a bonus version to this one, which is not on the screen, the 1995 Arnold Classic, which, I mean, in this show he was very complete for such a young guy, especially, and with great development already. So just take a note of that version, but as I said, I don't have photos of it. It's just for anyone wondering if I forgot about that version, I didn't. But moving our attention to the picture in the middle, that's the 1999 Mr. Olympia. This is a fresh version of Lee Priest, and he was in great condition. He was very cut, even though perhaps not the biggest or fullest, but his physique was very sharp. And to be honest, this is the only one of the shows that were left that I was able to get reasonable photos for. So I have a photo of it here. That's why. So that's the Lee in this photo in the middle. And one more year, just verbally, is the O2 Arnold Classic. He had great balance between tightness and vascularity and some more new muscle maturity and overall mass at that show. So he looked great too. And you might be wondering which one the rendition on the right hand side of the screen is. That's the 2005 Arnold Classic. This was a great package he brought to that show. The condition was not bad at all, and he had more mature muscle and a physique that was worthy of some very high placings at that time, sure. And a similar description could be given to the non-picture addition to this version, the O2 San Francisco Pro. And let me tell you, this was one of the best physiques of Lee Priest. He was so full and ripped and so aesthetic. He looked unbelievable. It might be a top 3 version, possibly, and I would definitely have included it in that comparison if I had good pictures, which I don't. So you should definitely watch a posing video of Lee Priest in the O2 San Francisco Pro. He looked great at that show. Too bad we don't have great photos. So now let's take a prompt look at this front lat spread. We see that the 97 Ironman Pro on the left is looking godlike. I mean, this is sure the best front lat spread of Lee Priest's career. It's gotta be. 1999 in the middle looks super aesthetic and separated, and the 05 Arnold on the right doesn't look as great, but this is just the lat spread. Here we have a side pose for this Trinity. 1997 looks great in the side chest. It's very impressive, even though we can't see that much in the picture, unfortunately. He has crazy size and he looks massive combined with Still great lines. 9099 in the middle looks great too, but Lee's pecs surely seem to have got more strided and thick coming into 2005, and he maintained those giant arms and small midsection. Sorry for the photo quality of that version. And last but not least, I wanted to showcase the hands class most muscular. Once again, the Ironman 97 on the left looks great overall, very conditioned, and just has great cuts everywhere. Looks great. The middle picture is also amazing. He looks very separated and he looks quite full too. So that's a great most muscular if you ask me. And the Arnold 05 brings in some more muscle maturity, and all of them look packed with muscle in this pose, so it's a great pose for Lee Priest. But that was surely enough, right? Let's get to the meat and potatoes. You see some meat, maybe some chicken, anabolic chicken, the anabolic chicken, an amazing YouTube channel which you should definitely check out in case you haven't already done so. But I only said that because I just wanted to let you know that I like those videos so you can look at them as well. Maybe you'll enjoy them. Anyway, this is gonna be the main comparison for the best shape of one of the best giant killers of all time. On the left is Lee Priest from the 1997 Grand Prix Hungary. He was in great shape, absolutely conditioned enough in the back shots in particular. We're gonna see. He was very full and big, but still aesthetically pleasing. So this is a killer rendition of the blonde myth. But in the middle, a good challenge is gonna be put up by the 1997 Olympia, so from the same year. He also looked very well rounded, and this physique has sure got a great chance against the Hungarian Grand Prix. And the third factor here is going to be the 06 Ironman Lee Priest, which is, yes, almost 10 years later, but still he was in peak shape in my opinion. He might have lost some of his aesthetic appeal, and you can see that in this pose, but he made up for it by having more maturity in his muscle and possibly more of that grainy look too. Once again, it's visible in this pose. So let's take a closer look at the front double. I think the first decision right away might be a little bit speculative because the version I'm putting in last is the 06 Ironman, and it looks awesome. It looks quite grainy, but I think both of the 97 versions look fresher. They have bigger quads and the midsection look quite significantly better than in 06. So I prefer the younger Lee Priest in this pose, as his arms look more gigantic compared to his waist too. To me, this is really a close third on the side of 06. And then in second, I have the 97 Olympia in the middle. It has absolutely huge arms, but it's not as conditioned and as sharp as 97 Grand Prix Hungary in this pose, it looks like to me. So the Grand Prix Hungary gets the first 1 pointer. And we move on to the front lat spread. And for me, 2006 is still last. The quads look less massive, though more separated. But the delts and arms seem to be a little bit smaller. The chest is surely the flattest out of these three blonde myth versions and renditions. But I have to say the lats look very good, and his V-taper is not bad whatsoever, especially for a person who doesn't support the widest clavicles. So great, but still last place. And between the 97 Lee Priests, this time I have the Olympia winning. It looks to have the thickest pecs, and the lower body looks to be matching the Hungarian version in this pose. And sure, the angle is a little bit different, and also it's gonna be arguable because the lats of the Hungarian Grand Prix are basically hidden, sort of blended into the black background, and we can't really do anything about that. So we are going to go with the Olympia because the lats to me in that version look a little bit more standout. I think they would look better. So I'm not sure about this decision, but I have the Olympia winning this pose. And now let's go to the side chest pose. I do again have to put 06 in third place. It looks very good. And again, look at that mature kind of conditioning. I mean, he was definitely in great shape, especially being an significantly older at that point of his career. But I don't prefer the way he hit this pose to the way he did it in the 90s. And his side leg and shoulder look slightly downsized, and most importantly, the far back is the less striated and separated is just a last place. The Olympia 97 gets the second place here, and Grand Prix Hungary is really shiny and the lighting is not enabling me to see any conditioning. But overall, the physique I would say looks bigger and really well filled out in this pose. And the definite clincher for me is the side leg. Look at that hanging hamstring display. It looks very freaky. So first place goes to Hungary. Now, this is the backdoor biceps pose. I'm gonna look more on the overall pose and development than just the conditioning of the physique. So for me, this is again, unfortunately, a third place for 2006. I mean, the glutes sure look much better than in 97. Either of those versions, probably. Much better than at the Olympia. But the back of 06 is not as impressive from my point of view. And the delts look a lot smaller. So by and large, the pose of the Olympia 97 just looks more impressive and more powerful with the way larger looking and better displayed shoulders and arms. I think they are important in this mandatory pose. So the 97 Olympia is actually my first place finisher. I don't even prefer the Hungarian Grand Prix over it, since the lower body is indeed better in the Grand Prix, but I much prefer the upper body of the Olympia. So Grand Prix Hungary is second in the back double. But let me know in the comments how you would judge this post though, because I feel like it could easily go the way of any of these versions, honestly, and your decision could differ from the way that I did this pose. And once again, this is a game of different angles and photos. So let me know what you think about this pose. Here is the rear lat spread, and I am sorry for the photos, but really the footage is not the best out there. In this pose, I prefer the 2006 Ironman over the 97 Olympia, as even the lats of 97 look bigger and more developed. I think the superior conditioning of the latter version, the Ironman, is just a little bit too much for the 97 Olympia version. The 06 version overall looks better, and it would, in my opinion, be more efficient on a real bodybuilding stage. So I have 06 in second over the 97 Olympia, which is last. And I like the giant killer Lee Priest of the Hungarian Grand Prix the best in this pose. We can't really see much due to the photo quality, unfortunately. I apologize for that. But the condition looks to be on a similar level to 06, and the development and muscle groups look quite a bit better. His lat spread looks decent despite the horrible angle, so it gets a point. This side triceps pose doesn't look too great for 06. I mean, the photographers might have just got Lee at a moment when he was relaxing his midsection, but even the triceps looks much smaller and the whole arm, so it's a clear third place for this version. The 97 versions look absolutely world class though. Look at that arm and the midsection, really aesthetic. I love this pose from Lee Priest. I would say one of the best in history. I prefer the Hungarian Grand Prix version slightly, just slightly, since it has the more impressive side leg, even though I took this side leg of 97 Olympia from a different picture because I didn't have it for the upper body of the side triceps pose. I would just say Hungarian Grand Prix looks virtually perfect in this pose with the forearm and the midsection and the delt, the triceps looks great. So I'm giving it a deserved 1 point. And the final pose for today is the ab and thigh, since I didn't manage to get good pegs for all the versions of the most muscular. So this is the final pose we're gonna look at, but it's a great one at that. I hate to sound like a broken record, but 06 is just not as aesthetic at 97, but it still has an amazing ab and thigh pose. Surely one of the better ones of any lineup he could be put into, right? But someone has to get the 3 points, and unfortunately is 06. And between the Olympia and Hungarian Grand Prix, I prefer the Hungarian Grand Prix. Its midsection looks better, if you ask me, and so do the thighs, and it's a very nice pose, one of the best of all time. And this is the end. Let me present the last place finisher, the 2006 Ironman Lee Priest. It's an awesome version. As I said, in some poses it looked really well conditioned, and sure, not bad at all. It was just not as fresh, maybe not as balanced as Lee was earlier on in his career. Okay, with that out of the way, the second place finisher is a little bit more surprising. It's from 1997, obviously, and it's the Olympia. I consider it the second best Lee Priest rendition. It was not the most conditioned, but it was conditioned enough and very well developed, balanced, aesthetic, everything you would want in a bodybuilder. To me, it won 2 poses out of the 7 I judged today, and just for reference, it had 13 points in comparison to 06, which had 20 points, so quite a bit of a difference there. But now let's get to the first place finisher. Of course, it's the Grand Prix Hungary version, an awesome version, no doubt. Just had the most balance, the best conditioning combined with the best lines and the most size. I would say a very good overall package, and I like this version very much. It won 5 poses for me, got 9 points, very impressive. I think this is probably the best package Lee Priest ever brought to a stage. But do let me know down in the comment section, please, which is your personal favorite version of the Blonde Myth. Which physique do you prefer? I would really love to know. And I would love to tell you just one more thing, guys. If you're still watching this video, that's impressive. Just a little message from me. Just don't forget to be kind and respectful to people around you, and just always help people who help you, who need it. So that's it for this video for today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to watch some Lee Priest videos, and also like and subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your day.